Chapter 169. Hand it over. The spiritual sword chooses its owner. 1. Sanchi crossed his arms and looked unhappy. He was unhappy, but Lu Youyu was smiling. She was the classic case of gloating over others' misfortune. Sanchi turned around to observe the area outside the tea plantation. In the area where the array formation had not been broken, it looked foggy outside and was filled with miasma, obstructing one's vision. When his thoughts probed over, it was destroyed by a corrosive power the moment he approached. The miasma is already so powerful. This is only a node that has been broken. The other array formations have not been broken at all. This feels like a parallel circuit. It's not affected by anything on the outside. That if you walk over, you'll probably die. The blood on Sanchi's body squirmed and submerged him. It quickly spread to the periphery, forming a blood river. The blood water squirmed and two identical him appeared. One of them walked forward. This direction was the center of the basin. As expected, the array formation power was even stronger. Lu Ju did not stop him. He was already preparing to send someone to probe the nearby situation. It would be best if someone took the initiative to do it. On the surface, it looked like Sanchi sent a clone, but in fact, Sanchi's main body walked into the fog. Soon, a ball of flames rose and Sanchi turned into ashes. Rumor has it that this old man is extremely selfish. When did he become so proactive? The mountain-moving Daoist, who had his hands behind his back, suddenly said, "I'm more curious why he hasn't become feeble after wasting so many clones." The ghost butcher's eyes were filled with curiosity. It's most likely because of his Dharma treasure. Lu Ju guessed, this thing is about to become a numinous artifact. The blood refinement sect's inheritance is something spectacular indeed. It should be. Didn't he kill many cultivators in Silken City previously? He probably used the blood essence of those cultivators to cultivate this cloning technique. After consuming it, he can recover quickly. Ghost Butcher nodded in agreement. Blood Dao techniques have terrifying regenerative abilities and tenacious vitality. It's a pity that the blood refinement sect provoked the royal family of Great Jin and was wiped out, all at once. A nostalgic look appeared on the mountain-moving Daoist's face. Back then, our heavenly ghost sect and the blood refinement sect had a good relationship. They killed people to refine their blood while we bought the blood to cultivate. It was a mutually beneficial relationship. How wonderful. If the blood refinement sect wasn't destroyed, how would the Sky Demon cult have the chance to become the champion of the demonic Dao? Lu Ju sneered. Ghost Butcher shook his head and thought of something. Rumor has it that the blood refinement sect is related to the blood spirit sect. Is that true? The blood refinement sect came from the blood spirit sect back then, but they've long lost contact with each other. Otherwise, why didn't they say anything when the blood refinement sect was destroyed back then? At this point, the mountain-moving Dao said, however, Great Jin is decaying and on the verge of collapse. The surrounding 8 countries are restless. There are cultivators from other countries appearing in the 13 prefectures. We have to be careful of them coming to pick Peach's one. This should be a headache for the Sky Demon cult and Great Jin. We should develop ourselves and nurture and recruit more talents. Lu Ju was not worried. He looked at the tea trees. After this exploration, he'll recruit a batch of new disciples and use the wisdom tea made from the leaves to increase their comprehension. After Sanchi died 10 more times, he suddenly stopped courting death. There's a tea house in this direction. There are a few ancient cultivators' manors and some shops in that. They're all protected by ray formations. I'll rest for a while. You guys go ahead and break them. Sanchi said. He realized that he could not obtain any more EXP after his ray formation had reached grade 6. Even if he was killed by another ray formation while courting death, he would still not be rewarded with array formation EXP. It could increase his level. The reason was that the level of the array formation had to be higher than his current level. Before it could continue to be effective, the reward method has been refreshed after the core formation realm. With an upper and lower limit, I can only find a grade 7 array formation to increase my array formation level. Sanchi thought of the rules of the previous refresh and felt a little unsatisfied. If there was no upper limit, he could farm his array formation to grade 9 right now. Blood-robed elder, you've worked hard. Rest peacefully. We'll break this portion of the array formation next. Lu Ju smiled at Sanchi with a good attitude. He knew that Sanchi had performed very well. No matter what Sanchi's motive was, Since he was so proactive in doing things, he was a good role model to the others. Oh, so you are finally tired. I thought you said you hadn't exhausted yourself. Lu Youayu glanced at Sanshi. The wisdom tree in front of her was almost bald and the tea leaves had filled several jade basins. Are Yaodong? Sanshi retracted the blood river and turned around to ask casually. It's about time. I'll leave some for you. It will be enough for a pot of tea. Lu Youayu clapped her hands. There were about 30 leaves left on the tea tree in front of her. Take them all off. There's no need to keep them. Sanshi shook his head and walked over to form a seal. He began to seal the tea tree to prevent it from losing its vitality and spirituality. This was a common way to preserve all kinds of spiritual objects. It was a little like adding plastic wrap to vegetables and food in his previous life. When Lu Youayu heard Sanshi's generous words, she was quite surprised. She looked at Sanshi suspiciously. You said it. Take it off. New tea will grow next year. Sanshi nodded. Many people curled their lips when they heard that. Nudia. This wisdom tea could only mature a batch of tea leaves in 100 years, which meant that it would take 100 years for the new tea to mature. Your generosity is making me feel bad. Although Lu Youayu said that, her hands acted otherwise. She plucked the last of the tea leaves and placed them in the full jade basin. She stared at Sanshi, but she did not see any anger or pain from losing his tea leaves. She was a little stunned. Wasn't it heartbreaking to have all the leaves of such a hard-earned tea tree plucked? She saw Sanshi walking towards the jade basin and stopped him. What are you doing? I'm collecting my tea. Thank you for picking the tea leaves from me. I think the tea leaves personally picked by a beauty will taste better. Tick the peaches is referring to the cultivators from other countries taking advantage of the chaos to reap benefits.